sensors for our lighting system as second part of the Energy Conservation Plan. Rutherford County Schools are eligible for a $741,480 Energy Efficient Schools grant from the state. This grant will cover 31.7% of the $2,337,515 project. There are two financing possibilities for the remaining $1,596,035. A, financing through EESI as follows: $500,000 at 0% for 7 years, and the balance at 3% for 7 years for an annual rate of 2.08 for 7 years. Or B, a Rutherford County bond issue, and I discussed that yesterday with Mayor Burgess and also Lisa Nolan, and they would check to see if there was any cheaper financing. The County Commission would make the financing decision. The guaranteed annual savings from the occupancy sensors would be $186,731. Xcel Energy Group has estimated annual payments of $246,188 for 7 years. Each of the next 7 years, the school system's expenditure for the sensors would cost $59,457 more than the annual savings. So in retrospect, about $5,000 a month. However, the original energy efficient lighting upgrade that we did about 4 years ago is already saving $135,711 per year in excess of the project payment. In 2013, the bonds for the original lighting upgrade will be paid off and will no longer be paying $690,229 in principal and interest, resulting in a positive cash flow from both projects of $814,281 per year. In 2016, the total annual savings for both projects will be $1,060,469 at the current electric rates. And obviously rates are going to be up. Recommend that we approve the Xcel Energy Group $2,337,550 proposal for occupancy sensors contingent on state approval by the Systems Efficient Schools Initiative grant of $741,480 and the County Commission's approval of financing the $1,596,035 balance.
You've heard the recommendation. Have a motion.
So moved.
Have a second. Second. Any discussion? Mr. Blair.
Remind the public that the representative told us that the sensors, the life expectancy is over 20 years, so that's a long time to recoup the investment in savings.
Absolutely. What it is, there are heat sensors and also there are motion sensors that will be in every classroom, hallway, cafeterias, won't be in the gym, won't be, I think, the library. Life of the sensors are 25 years. If there's not any activity in the room for 20 minutes, the lights go out. Matter of fact, I appreciated the mayor's comment. He said it's kind of a no-brainer with respect to doing this. It's just, it's taking place everywhere, and we have a tremendous opportunity to, I think, next to the lighting upgrade itself, this is the next best way we can conserve energy and save the taxpayer money. So, as the mayor says, it's kind of a no-brainer.
Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. B.
General purpose school budget amendments. This amendment uses $21,506 in available regular education EA pay and $4,396 for the related benefits to cover additional hours for federal bookkeeper and accounting and minor corrections in classified pay or hours in office of the principal, 72-410, and human resources. The additional hours are needed in accounting because we will only be able to charge half of the federal bookkeeper's time to the Federal Consolidated Administration due to program clarifications that have been received. The EA funds are available due to turnover. No position is being reduced. Recommend that you amend $25,902 in pay and benefits from regular education EAs to other classified staff as presented.
Heard the recommendation. Have a motion.
So moved.
Have a second. Any discussion?
Second.
All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Two, the Christie Houston Foundation gave the school system a $34,345 grant to replace 41 of the system's defibrillators. This amendment budgets the grant and the related expenditures. Recommend that you amend $34,345 to account 44,570 contributions and gifts and $34,345 to 72-120-735 health equipment for the Christie Houston Foundation grant to replace the system's defibrillators.
You've heard the recommendation. Have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Just a quick update for someone's tuning in for the first time. On Tuesdays, we have a work session, and we have a great bit of discussion on each of these items. In between Tuesday and Thursday, we go back and do research and bring information back to the board once. So we're not passing these without without previous discussion and a lot of thought on the board's part.
And that meeting is also an open meeting if anybody wants to attend, Mr. Gill. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Make sure everybody knows that. Go ahead, C.
C, transfer resolution. Resolution to transfer funds from the General Purpose School Fund to Federal Projects Fund for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2010. Whereas federal projects grants operate on a reimbursement basis and funds are requested from the state of Tennessee by Rutherford County Board of Education for expenditures on a monthly basis. And whereas the Federal Projects Fund operates with a cash deficit at various times throughout the fiscal year due to a slow turnaround time for reimbursements from the state of Tennessee, and whereas generally accepted accounting principles consider a cash deficit in any fund to be a significant deficiency in internal control, and whereas the Rutherford County Board of Education does not desire to operate any fund with a cash deficit. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Education of Rutherford County, a school district in Tennessee, meeting in called session on this 15th day of October 2009, and by the County Commission of the Rutherford County, a county in Tennessee, meeting in called session on this 15th day of October 2009, that Section 1, the GPS, the General Purpose School Fund, shall transfer no more than $1 million to the Federal Projects Fund during fiscal 2010. Section 2, the $1 million transfer shall remain in the Federal Projects Fund as a designated fund balance from the General Purpose School Fund and may be repaid at any time as noted in a resolution passed by the Board of Education and the County Commission. 3, this resolution will take effect on October the 15th, 2009. Secretary of the Board of Education shall include this resolution in the minutes of the Rutherford County Board of Education. The county clerk shall include this resolution in the minutes of Rutherford County. Adopted this 15th day of October 2009. I recommend that you approve the resolution as presented.
Heard the recommendation. Grant made it. Any have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Would it be appropriate for Mr. Gill to give that layman term explanation again?
Probably not.
But this is something we've always been doing anyways, and
Yeah.
it's just making it official, I think. Is that correct, Mr. Gill?
Yes.
I mean, take your thumb
Yeah.
and go ahead and tell it.
Yeah, well, I'd rather Jeff tell it. Jeff is,
As Mr. Wise said, this is something in the past we've been able to do on an informal basis. We got a letter from the state after our fiscal year end that it would now have to be done on a formal basis. And initially they were thinking just at year end. Now they want it in place as this is done throughout the year. The reimbursements from the state tend to lag. We have to put cash out before we've been reimbursed for these federal programs, expenditures.
Any other questions? Discussion? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. We'll go 13,
transportation. A, contract voluntary termination. Pursuant to Section 16.1 of the Rutherford County Board of Education bus contract, the Transportation Department has received a letter dated September the 25th, 2009 from Katie M. Swader, contractor of Bus 91, requesting voluntary termination of her contract with the board. She further requests that the 60-day notice be waived. The Transportation Department is prepared to award this contract to the next potential contractor on the appropriate contractor list. We're recommending that you approve the voluntary termination of the bus contract from Katie Swader, Bus 91, effective as soon as possible.
Heard the recommendation, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. B.
New 90-passenger buses. Lowell Duke, Bus 125, replaced his 89-passenger bus with a new 90-passenger bus on September the 25th, 2009. We have received a formal request from Mr. Duke dated September the 25th, 2009 to change this bus to a 90-passenger for payment purposes. This will increase Mr. Duke's pay by a total of $315.12 through the remainder of the school year. Recommend that we approve the request to change Bus 125 from an 89-passenger to a 90-passenger bus for payment purposes.
You've heard the recommendation. We have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. 2.
Tracy Bynum, Bus 200, replaced her 78-passenger bus with a new 90-passenger bus on September the 25th, 2009. We have received a formal request from Ms. Bynum dated September the 28th, 2009 to change this bus to a 90-passenger bus for payment purposes. This will increase Ms. Bynum's pay by a total of $3,781.44 through the remainder of the school year. Recommend that we approve the request to change Bus 200 from a 78 to a 90-passenger bus for payment purposes.
Heard the recommendation. We have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
How many buses we running now, Mr. Snell, you know?
202.
202 buses.
How many did we put on this year so far? New routes.
5.
Okay, number 14.
Recommend changes in the 2010-2011 calendar. Previously approved 2010-2011 school year calendar needs to be revised to accommodate the state testing schedule. Because the state moved the elementary TCAP testing window from March to April, it would be advantageous to move spring break from April to March in 2011. The board approved a similar change of 2009-2010 calendar on August 13, 2009, when the state notified school systems of the TCAP testing window change. And we're recommending that you approve a revision in the 2010-2011 system calendar by moving spring break to March 21st through the 25th, 2011.
You've heard the recommendation. Have a motion.
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 15.
McFadden School of Excellence and Admission Policy, I know we were asked to basically describe the admissions criteria for McFadden, which Ms. Barnes did on Tuesday night. I'm going to ask her to quickly do that again. And also, I think Mr. Donald Jernigan asked us to maybe track down some information with respect to what's required at the Discovery School versus what's required at McFadden. So would you handle that, Ms. Barnes?
Thank you. At McFadden, we begin the process in December 31st of each year to open the application process. That first phase of the application is open from December 31st to January 31st. We call it Phase 1 because anyone that submits a completed application during that time frame is screened for the program. The principal of the school coordinates the screening for all applicants in kindergarten through second grade. They do use an instrument to screen those students. In grades 3 through 8 currently, of course we won't have those grades later, but they use the Terra Nova scores and behavioral checklist and information submitted by the parents. They put all that information on a rubric to determine a final score, and then once that information is gathered, they identify the students who meet the criteria. Those meeting the criteria, preference is given to siblings of students who are currently in the program that meet the criteria. And then preference is given to students who are zoned to attend Rutherford County schools. And then any remaining slots are given to students zoned to attend city schools. And each one of these depends on the grade level and the number of spots that are available at each level. So it will vary from time to time. If they need to do a lottery within any particular cluster, they'll do that. If there are only 3 slots and there's 6 siblings, then they would do a lottery of those 6 to determine the 3 that get the slots, and then the next 3 go on the waiting list. Then they'll do that with each subsequent group within that grade level group. They'll do that for each grade level. A waiting list is maintained for the year, then the process starts all over again the following year.
So when, by creating another class, which I presume we'll be able to do next year, if we're doing the 6 through 8, will there be more requests than we're able to accommodate? For example, when you were the principal there, how many would you have to turn away that first year?
And it really varied from grade to grade, Mr. Gill, but typically you would have a waiting list of anywhere from 5 to 15 or 20 at each grade level. And it really depended. 7th grade was always a heavy grade. Kindergarten, of course, was a heavy grade.
Okay.
Okay.
Questions for Wayne?
And we're, with the movement to the Central Magnet School, we're opening up a entire class for each grade, is that correct?
Yeah.
So,
You asked me to find information from the city schools, and I did call the coordinator of curriculum and instruction and questioned her about their process. They have slightly different dates from us, and actually it's changed from the past 3 years. The initial year, which was 2 years ago, they opened up their application process in January, closed it in February, and then did their screening and announced their selections in March. Last year, they bounced it back to November, the application process, screening in December, and then sent their letters out to parents. They had not made a decision for this year, but they anticipate that it will be the same time frame of November to apply in December to screen their applicants. They also administer what they called a school ability matrix, which included a standardized test or an instrument similar to what is used at McFadden. And also they had an interdisciplinary measure that included samples of reading, writing, math capability types things set in a classroom simulation, and then a behavior rating. They put all that on a matrix and came up with a score. And then they were given a total point by student, and then they were ranked by the point total. They created a natural cutoff based on those scores, and that helped them to identify how many classes of each grade level they were going to need to provide based on the students who applied and were eligible for the program. So if they had 50 students that applied and the scores ranged down to 92, and then there was a big break in numbers, so they kind of stopped at that 92 cutoff and entered those students in. So it depended on their scores and the way they fell. They did accept students based on the rating, and there is no distinction between city and county residents as far as the way they accept students into their program. They do not have a sibling rule. They go strictly by the ranking, and there is no cost to county residents for entry into the program.
Mr. Hall, do you have something?
If y'all want to discuss it further, we'll discuss it further. If not, I'll put a motion out on the table.
Anybody want to discuss anything before he makes his motion?
I would like to have a little more time to talk to county constituents and see what they feel about, a possible change, because I don't think we've really had that opportunity. So, I would like to see us defer this to another meeting to give us an opportunity to get a little more information from county citizens. I think we already know how the Murfreesboro City.
Well, my rebuttal to that is, I don't know why we need any more time. They're all county citizens. Basically, everybody wants to bring the city in this whole situation. This doesn't have nothing to do with the city. This is a county issue. It's our job to educate every county child. Basically, what you're telling me, every child outside the city of Murfreesboro is better than the child inside the city.
I don't see it that way.
I mean, what's the difference?
I didn't say that.
I didn't say that either, but
That's what y'all saying. What's the difference?
But it is two different systems. You have the city system and you have the county system.
Well, where are they? Well, from a county, the people inside the city, their county tax dollars going over there to fund McFadden also. Also, their city taxes are keeping the city schools going. So I don't know. I don't know why everybody wants to bring the city into this. It doesn't have anything to do with the city as far as I'm concerned.
Of course, we do share for all K-6 kids, 17 cents out of every dollar goes back to the city. We built a new elementary school and we borrowed $20 million. How much do we have to give the city, Jeff? Just ballpark it.
$3 million.
Yeah. And we do staff McFadden with county teachers. We pay salaries. And I'm just saying, and we do pay for renovations and we do all those kind of things. I just want to make both sides be heard. I don't have an issue either way.
Well, I guess at this point, you have something to say, Mark?
Well, obviously, what Harry says is true, but the city residents are paying the same rate of county taxes as everybody else to help pay for all of that stuff. You know, I thought this was an unfair policy even before I got on the board, and I've bitten my tongue since I've been on there, since I'm a McFadden parent. And on this issue, I've bitten my tongue. I mean, we've had a lot of discussion about city versus county, and this is, whether or not it should be, I think is perceived as being related to that. But I appreciate Terry raising it. I'm not sure. I think we all know what we feel on this, I think. If he makes a motion, I'm ready to second it. But I think we need to change it and then just, Harry, your question to Paula, I think, indicates that it's, in practical terms, it's not likely to make much difference next year because we're adding a class at every grade. The past experience is that there's not a whole lot more qualified than that would be left over after adding that third grade. But there is a principle here of, I think we're all tired of having debates about what's fair and what's not fair, but it is a fairness question, and Terry's notion that city residents should not be penalized because we get to pay two sets of taxes is one that I agree with.
All right, let me ask this question to Ms. Barnes. Assuming there are, say we expand by one class, and assuming there are more applicants than we can accommodate in any given grade, there is the potential for a county kid to get bumped and a city kid to go in. I know they're all county resident. Is it there?
If you put them in as equal based on the rating, yes, sir.
Well, at this point, I think that Mr. Hodge needs to go ahead and make his motion. If he gets a second, then Mr. Blair can make a motion to defer if he wishes. I think, am I doing that correct? And then if he gets a second on his motion, we can vote on one and then vote on the other.
Motion to table.
Motion to table. And then if it doesn't pass, then we go back and vote on Mr. Hodge's motion. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, that's why I just want to make sure we were correct on it. Mr. Hodge, go ahead and make your motion.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to drop the way we're currently basically not allowing the city kids to have the same application process that we are, I guess, the county kids outside the city of Murfreesboro.
Okay.
They want to condense it down a little bit.
I think everybody understands it, Mr. Hodge.
Second.
Okay, now Mr. Blair.
I move to defer to the next meeting.
Or table, whichever. Is there a second to Mr. Blair's motion?
Second.
Okay, let's, I guess, is there any more discussion on this? Let's vote on, this, as we vote on the tabling first, and then if that doesn't, on the
Right,
motion
yeah,
to
vote on the
table.
motion to table first.
Okay. All right. I guess we need to call a roll. Vote on the motion to table first, and we'll call the roll.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Hodge?
Nope.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Mr. Donald Drinking?
Let me disclose that my son-in-law is principal of McFadden School. I vote yes.
Dr. Burns?
No.
What's that? What is that right now? Because I can vote one way and we can vote on it tonight and get it out of the way, or I can vote the other way and we can defer it.
That's right.
It's tied, isn't it?
It's 3-2.
Well, I just wouldn't vote for it tonight, but I'll vote to defer it. I'll say yes, so that we can get a better look at it maybe. And Doris will be here at the next meeting and make a difference maybe in how the vote goes. I would have rather voted on tonight, but I think it's better to defer it.
4 yeas, 2 noes.
Okay.
16, dismissal of tenured teacher. The board has been provided with a memorandum containing charges against Peggy Mackney. Ms. Mackney has been suspended without pay pending board action. If the board sustains the charges, Ms. Mackney will be presented with a copy of the charges and a statement of her rights under Tennessee law. Recommended we sustain the charges against Peggy Mackney as presented.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, let me know by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That's upheld, Mr. Gill. Let's see.
17, just
Yeah.
general
Any
discussion.
discussion by the board? Anything needs to be brought up? Anybody have anything to bring up at this point? Guess not. I thought there'd be some brought up, but I guess there's not.
Doris is not here.
Yeah, he would bring something, I'm sure. All minds being at ease, being adjourned.